former Travis County Judge Bill Alshire on the live newsline.
I can't think of anything better at the moment.
Judge, good morning.
Good morning, Todd and Don.
Listen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You had some interesting, you've done a Freedom of Information request trying to get some information about affordable bond packages that Austin voters approved in years past. And this is very important because there's going to be another affordable bond package on the ballots this November to the tune of $350 million. Ooh. Judge, what are you trying to discover out with the city of Austin? What do you want to learn?
I'd like to. It's not just that I'd like to have this information. I really think the policymakers and the voters ought to know who got the affordable housing that taxpayers have already paid for from the 2013 2018. It was $115 million worth of affordable housing. Who got it? I don't want to know their names, but are these families, individuals? What are the demographics? Are these single family homes? Are they white? Are they black? Who's getting the benefit?
It's a very simple question. I mean, I hate to say the term. What's the ROI, the return on our investment? Because we're dealing with human beings here, but we need to hear some success stories, right, Judge? We need to know if the money we did in previous years is working.
Yeah, and it's both the advocates and as well as potential opponents that ought to have this information available so that they can judge. Who's the target audience for beneficiaries of these programs, and are we reaching them?
Yeah.
Listen, I one of the first jobs I ever had in Austin was working in the Human Opportunities Corporation. It was the War on Poverty. One of the most enjoyable jobs I ever had. I'm not against government funding to help people along that are struggling, but we need to know whether that's working and who's benefiting and whether there's cheating going on. I also ask if there's been an audit done for compliance. And then it dawned on me, it's not just the bond money that has been spent, but the city of Austin has been giving developer variances where they can build bigger and wider developments if they make some of those units affordable. Well, how do we know that who's getting the benefit of those affordable units and whether or not they're actually complying with the eligibility standards if there's no audit?
What you're calling for is some accountability and transparency. That's very basic of government right there. That should be. But also there's another category here I think you're interested in is these various tax abatements for the big companies in town, Apple, Facebook, Samsung, and we typically give these tax breaks to big companies. In return, they promise to do a few things.
Well, they promise to create a certain number of jobs, and then once they show that they've got that many jobs, that's about the end of the inquiry. I remember when some friends of mine and I, Brian Rogers and Ed Wendler Jr. and others, went down to the county commissioner's court opposed to the tax abatement for Apple. And at the time, County Commissioner Sarah Eckhart was asking them to, and asked to be included in the deal, that they would give demographic information about who they were hiring. And she can never get that adopted. And Apple refused. And to this day, does anybody know how that tax benefit is being applied and what effect it's having? Are they hiring local people? Is there a disparity between their workforce and the population in Austin that's paying for those tax abatements? These are the kinds of things that I'm hoping what I'll find out for the public information request is that public officials in the city of Austin have already thought of this and have already gathered this information, and they'll just give us a report we didn't know about. And then on the other hand, it may be really bad news if they don't have this information.
Interesting. You think that's possible, that they're not even tracking that kind of data? That's the kind of thing they tell us when we ask the questions, where is our homeless money going?
Yes.
The city themselves, they say they're not 100% sure because there's so many different programs out there.
It is a serious issue, and all I would say is that eventually the voters set the standards for accountability and transparency.
Yes.
Eventually they do. If they show the politicians that they're willing to swallow anything thrown their way and they'll okay it, and they don't care about whether it's actually effective, whether it's helping the people that we want to help, and if they won't disclose that kind of information or even acquire that information, then voters are setting the standards for that.
It's true. It's true. You got a good point. It's we the people. That's a good point. My first question would be, from the 2013 and the 2018 bond packages, did they spend all the money? Is there some left over?
I asked for that in the request. I've asked how much was spent, how much is left over. I understand there is some left over, but they had in 2018 they had several categories of how that bond package was set up. They had $100 million for land acquisition, $94 million in rental housing development, $28 million for affordable owned housing development, and $28 million for home repair program. It'd be interesting to see by those categories what has not been spent 4 years later.
Yeah, interesting.
And I would again, I think that if this information is made available, it may be that it really is, as you suggested, there's success stories out there that the proponents of the $350 million new bonds would be able to use. But let's get the information out there. That's
good.
That's
yeah.
my priority.
That's true, Judge. Yeah, just get the information out there so that we could be informed voters. There may be information in the data from 13 and 18 that indicates that those bond packages, affordable bond packages, were a tremendous success.
Right.
And it may lead to people voting yes.
It would be
in November.
It would be in their best interest.
Something tells me, Judge, they don't have the data, because if they did and it was successful data, then they would be bragging about it from a mountaintop, right?
I hope they have it. And if they don't have it, I hope there's leaders in the city of Austin, in the government, that says, this is crazy. We got to start gathering this information.
You submitted the Freedom of Information request to what, this week? Was it earlier this week?
Yeah, a couple of days ago.
All right, so they got 30 days to respond.
No. They're supposed to promptly supply the public information, but usually they'll take at least 10 days to decide whether any of that information I asked for it should be withheld. They'll have to ask for an attorney general's ruling on that. But again, I haven't asked for any privacy information at all. I don't want to know the names of people.
No reason
to see
to.
general demographic information about who got helped to buy a house, and now and home ownership is a big priority for me. I think it's one of the areas that we need to improve in Austin, where more and more people can actually own a home.
Yeah, good points, Judge. You kind of sounded like a. Don't take offense to this. Kind of sound like a politician a little bit. Are you?
Oh my God!
Are you?
I'm not.
Would you consider getting back into politics?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I enjoy my advocacy role. I enjoy my law practice, where I focus on these issues of accountability and transparency. I am enjoying life. I am going to volunteer and help over the next couple of years with the New Forward Party. I'm not a Democrat anymore, and I'm sure as hell not a Republican.
I hear you.
I'm joining with other folks that are tired of the dysfunction in our system. They want government to get stuff done, and they realize that these individual litmus test issues on the left or the right are keeping people from working together. Yeah. And I think it's time that we on the November ballot start providing something other than the radical left or the radical right choice.
I got you.
People are faced with now.
Judge,
anyway,
Judge,
I'm having fun.
I hear you. Thank you so much, Bill.
Todd and Don Show.